the first thing when you come out, because he's been forming us and fashioning us in the womb of our mother, and he's been with us, spending time with us, and the moment we're separated from him, it releases this cry. That's the cry that we're hearing in the earth, is to be reconciled with the Father, to be reconciled with their dad. When we're separated from him in that moment, there's a cry. It says, I want you back. Where are you? And then he picks us up and he puts us right there into his bosom. And it's right here where everything happens. In order for us to grow, he has to feed us. We just receive. In order for us to be protected, it's all dependent upon him protecting us, and he wraps us and he coddles us and he embraces us. And then he begins to look at us and he begins to speak life over us. And he says, I love you. And he says, you're wonderful. And he looks at us and says, you're beautiful. And he stares at his child and says that. And guess what the child ends up saying? As the child gets older, now he looks back to the father and says, I love you. And you're beautiful. And you're amazing. But we would have never known what to say to him unless he first said it to us. You don't just learn how to talk. You need somebody to talk to you. If I trapped you in a room and no one said anything to you, you wouldn't know how to speak. The only reason you know how to speak is because you've been raised by people speaking into you. And as a result of what they've said, you just simply mimicked. Does that make sense? So anything that we give to God, God has first given to us. If you're going to love God the way he wants to be loved, you first have to receive his love for you. Bottom line, point blank. It's like when Jesus, in the scriptures we see John leaning into the bosom of the Lord. The desire of our life, my wife and my kids and our family, is to be laid down lovers of Jesus. But the only reason that John would understand to lay down and lean into, the posture that John was acquiring in the moment was simply posture that Jesus had already been in. So he simply laid down alongside the one who was already laying down. This whole thing is about simply mimicking the behavior of God. And as he leans down next to God, he leans his head into God, and from that place, you see, there were some people on the outside, like Peter, that needed to get an answer to a question, but Peter couldn't ask Jesus that question. Guys, Jesus loves us all, but there's just some people who have access that others don't. It is what it is. He's no respecter of persons, but there isn't a level of intimacy that some people carry. They're able to ask Jesus certain questions that some aren't. And Peter rolled with Jesus, but Peter could not ask, who's going to betray you? But he understood there's one who can ask him that question. So then he goes to John and he says, John, can you ask him? And John leads his head into the Lord. And from that place of leaning his head into the Lord, then he asked Jesus on behalf of Peter. See, sometimes you just got to find somebody, like they said this morning, find somebody who can talk to him a certain way. Even if you're not there yet, there is always somebody in your midst that will be there that you can go to ask Jesus what's on your heart. And as he leans on him and into his heart, there's something that is happening. And I honestly feel that is the posture of a generation. That God is aligning a generation that will lay down their lives and lean into the heart of God. And as they lean into him, they can pick up the rhythm of his heart. See, it's really important that you understand what Jesus is doing in the earth. And you just simply run alongside him in those moments. So the rhythm of his heart will tell you exactly what he's doing in the earth. Sometimes Jesus is just standing still. And we would know that because his heart would be at a standing pace. Sometimes he gets up and he begins to increase his stride, and as a result, the heart will then begin to beat a little faster. Sometimes he's on the move and he's running, and that's when his heart begins to run at a certain pace. But you can always remain in stride if you can hear the rhythm of his heart.